The Grow My Cleaning Company podcast helps owners of cleaning companies just like you to grow your company and yourself so you can make more money and finally get the time and money freedom that probably got you into this business. Discover how to automate and create systems that allow you to grow like crazy without losing control. If you dig the show and want to show some love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. It really helps. Enjoy the show.
Hello, Cleaning Nation. This is part 1 in a 2-part episode. Stay tuned for the next episode for part 2. Enjoy.
Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with the lovely, the amazing Suzanne Bandick. This amazing woman is one of our mindset coaches. And she said she had some crap to talk about. And anytime Suzanne's like, I have things that will see, that's how I value the mindset stuff, quote unquote, crap to talk about.
Excuse me, I take objection.
Well, luckily my stuff's crap I talk about. So this isn't above or below. It's just crap we talk about. All right, fine. We'll be politically correct. Suzanne has some life-changing, positive, which just sucks because now I say it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but she really does. So it's like, this is really good. So, all right, I'm a terrible introducer. If you don't know Suzanne, she's one of our coaches. Maybe, if not probably, the best liked person on the team, just from my careful observation. So anyway, she slacked me last night with a bunch of big words of things that she wanted to talk about. I got confused. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just let her explain it to the world. I will be confused because I'm easily confused. I'll ask lots of good questions and then she'll explain. So Suzanne, what kind of crap do you have to talk about share with Cleaning Nation this fine day?
Why, good morning, Mike. I'm so glad you asked. By the way, for all our listeners to know, Mike got me up early this morning at 7 a.m. But fortunately for you all, I am a morning person.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I was going to say that, but right now there's somebody, a commercial cleaner, cleaning at 2 a.m. because somebody no called, no showed. And he or she is like, oh, you had to get up and they're furious. So that's why I was going to let that one slide because I didn't want someone in the middle of the night listening going, I could kill these people with their 7 a.m. wake up call. How dare you?
Okay, but life is full of choices. If you don't like it, it's time to change that.
Ooh, if only we had some sort of value to help those people make the changes they want in their life.
Okay, so speaking of that, this is the direction I thought we'd go this morning. The question is, what is not going the way you want it in your business? And then what I'd like to do is look at our higher faculties. I'm going to talk about those in a second. And let's see how we can use our higher faculties to change things around.
I'm so glad that you said that for two reasons. And I'm glad I didn't get it. And it's a surprise now because I have two things. One, any of the coaching calls I do with people that are not yet clients that I'm just trying to help, the first question I always ask is, what's the biggest thing not working in your cleaning company right now? And I start there because it's such a powerful question. So I love that we're starting there, Suzanne. One response I find that's a theme that I would love, I'm sure you're going to address, but I just want you to know this is what many, if not most of the people say is, oh, everything's fine. Everything's going great. Everything's okay. Right. And then we talk and they're like, we get into it and they're not sleeping. They're stuck for 6 months. Their relationship is strained with the people that they love. They're not taking care of their body because of stress or because of eating poorly. And I think and I'm so glad we're having this conversation with you because I think there's a lot of people probably inadvertently online and otherwise that you'll get through it. Positive thinking, never give up. Like that's kind of what I'm like, all right, what are we going to do to change it? And they go, well, I'm never going to give up and I'm going to try hard and I've got a great attitude. And it sucks because those are all really good things, right? Like I would never coach someone, oh, you should give up immediately, right? Or a positive attitude is worthless. But I think they've been sold on a bill of goods that those I'm never going to give up and I'm going to believe in myself and I'm going to try harder when they're working 60 hours a week. I can't wait to hear your perspective. Obviously part of the puzzle, right? Those are good things, but it puts me in a weird spot because I think it's a great thing, but I know that that's the precursor to failure, right? Without doing something different, I'm just going to feel great about it and work and double the thing that's not working 60 hours a week. I'll do it 80 hours a week and that'll fix it. And it's like, well, of course that's insane. Anyway, so boy, did you hit on the head what people need. Back to you.
Yeah, because a side note is what's the definition of insanity? doing the same thing, doing it harder, expecting a different result. Doesn't work. So let's do a thought process here. And I'm going to talk about higher faculties. We all know the five senses that we're taught, right? We're taught that we have sight, smell, taste, touch, hearing. Those are the things we're taught about, and those we think are our reality. They're causing our reality. So when we look at our bank account and we say, I don't have enough money, we look at our schedule, we say, I don't have enough time. We're seeing that. We hear our neighbors say, it's really tough to find employees. So you're thinking, why should I bother? Right? Those are the things from our five senses that we're taught to use that say, this is reality. It's not going to change. However,
let me tag on to that, because there's others that people are like, I don't feel that way. Just in case you're in that COVID, employees is a great one. It's a recession. It's a bad economy, high inflation, all of which may be the truth, by the way. We're not saying like, just pretend that it's not true. But the one that you said that I think a lot of people miss is money. Drives me nuts, because I feel like they're sitting in front of the fire and they're looking at it going, you give me some heat and I'll throw some wood in you. And the fire's like, that is not how this works. So people call us for help. And obviously, when you want to make a big change for your company, whether we work with you or not, it is going to take an investment of time and money. And most of them go, I don't have time or money. That's why I called. And I'm like, right. So you're going to have to put some wood in. You're going to have to do some stuff differently. And it drives me nuts, because just like you said, there's this, at the beginning, it's this, I'm just never going to give up. I'm going to figure it out. But then when we start talking about what you're actually going to do, and it's looking different about how you think or act around time or money, we just all of a sudden give up. Literally 9 minutes ago, we went, I'll never give up. And then they go, oh, it costs time or money, I'll give up. Or but we don't say I give up. They'll say things like, oh, I don't have any money. It's like, well, obviously, neither did every single one of us were born broke, right? Nobody, even if you had a rich family, they had money. When you're an infant, you have nothing. When you die, you have nothing. So this whole belief of, the time, I'll give it to you. You're 97 years old. You're on your deathbed. I will give you, I don't have time. I don't talk to you 97-year-olds, right? It's same with money, right? Well, I don't have money. That's such a big thing, Suzanne, that you hit when people, I think they don't think when you first said it, they go, oh, I don't do that. And then, but when we talk about it in this context, like, oh, maybe I do believe I don't have, and it's all external stuff. I don't have time. Well, that's external. I don't have money. COVID, my government shut this down. The recession, everyone's excuse but my own. Somebody quit. People are lazy. No one wants to work in my area. All these things that are come to you by the five senses, but they're not the truth. They're a truth that you derive from your five senses.
Exactly. Wow, Mike, you brought up so much there.
We got 4 minutes. Go. Wrap it up, girl.
It's right. And part of that is it's a way of thinking. We've thought a certain way that we figure this is our reality. I don't have any funds. People will argue till the cows come home. I don't have any funds, or there aren't enough people, or whatever that belief is. And it's a question of being willing to feel a little bit uncomfortable and to explore this. And it's what we go back to, what is not working in your business and how can we change this? So let's talk about these higher faculties and let's get ourselves out of this said reality where we're only using these five senses that we think this is all we've got. And by the way, I come back to when I was one of my biggest mentors was Bob Proctor. And this is where I learned about this, and this is where I use it every single day of my life, these higher faculties. And I was thinking about it last night, and Bob Proctor passed away earlier this year. And I thought, wow, to share his teachings is such a great legacy. And I thought for you and I, Mike, if anybody long after we've passed, if somebody shares something we've taught, would we be so lucky? Right?
What a great perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, higher faculties, 6. Write them down. Everyone, if you're driving, you can't do it. Come back to the recording. But we've got perception, will, intuition. Then we have memory, reason, and imagination. So let's take the challenge in the business, in the life, and figure out, I'm going to talk a little bit about those, each of those and what they mean. Okay. Because we're going to use them to figure out how we can help ourselves.
And for those of you playing at home, hopefully you answered out loud, if you don't mind sounding a little crazy in front of other folk, the question, what's the biggest thing not working in my business right now? Because I know this is going to be a great conversation. And I think a lot of times you'll hear the conversation, go, that was genius, Suzanne's the best, and go away feeling a little better, but not changing anything. So please have in your mind, because everyone's going to be different, right? This isn't a one-to-one conversation. So as Suzanne does this, don't just apply it to general, that sounds great, that makes sense, those are good ideas. Like that, all true, but not helpful. Please apply it to how that's going to, which problem you're going to solve. And then if you have any questions or problem, reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you. But we obviously can't do it with your problem, but you can do it with your problem. So Suzanne goes general, you make it specific.
Great. And I talk about this all the time with our clients. It's one thing to listen to something. It's one thing to read something. And you say, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. But until we implement the thought, the words into our life, nothing changes.
And honestly, when people come into our program and it's expensive and we have so much content for free, they're like, why? Because that's the difference, right? If you want to save money on any sort of mentor or whatever, figure out to actually do it yourself, which is much easier said than done. But that's really what it is the ability to take knowledge and turn it into reality. And that's a trick. It's a pricklier pear than you think. So this is a great skill to have. If you don't have a coach, it is absolutely going to be required. If you do have a coach, it's still going to be required, but you can be a lot weaker at it and kind of lean on your coach or community strength. And God forbid you have a bad community that's pulling you the other way. Now you have to be twice as strong because you have to fight off the negative influence and your own fears and still move forward. All right. I can't wait to have you go through these because I have thoughts, but I know yours are going to be much clearer and bigger and more helpful.
Well, I love your thoughts because this conversation is what helps everyone, right? It's not just a singular thing of one person talking at you. It's, let's have a discussion about this. So let's have the discussion. First one up is reason. Reason is our ability to think. So this means if something isn't going or turning out the way we want it, we have the ability to think for ourselves, what can I change? That's reason. It's the ability to think, what could I do differently? Versus, here's a very graphic picture, the fly that's trapped in the house banging himself against the window. Right? He's not thinking, this hurts to bang myself against the window. I may die in here. Is there another way? The fly doesn't have the ability to use reason.
So as humans that do have that ability, that is a double-edged sword because you're exactly right. If and when we decide I'm going to think about how to do this differently, that's the first step. There's no universe where we can get out of that until we think about it differently. But we can also think about the things that we've tried and failed. Not going to help. We can also think of the reasons this wall is impenetrable. We're never going to be able to do it. So the fly doesn't have the ability to reason. He only has instinct. So he does what he does until he dies. As humans, so that's good and bad, right? Because he can't crap all over himself and think about, I've been doing this thing forever. He'll keep trying and maybe some other human will open it and he'll get lucky, right? So I just wanted that reason. I don't know about the rest of them, but reason at least is certainly a double-edged sword. I think it's not that we don't reason. We reason in ways that we fight for our limitations and fight like hell for our limitations. And God forbid a coach comes and tries to give us to a higher thinking. We want to buy that higher thinking and that higher reality until it costs us doing something different that we're not comfortable with. And then we start bringing up all of the reasons and all of the limitations why that's not possible.
Exactly. And it's awareness is the key. So let's talk about another higher faculty. Let's talk about perception. And this is the big one, and I've been caught in it myself many times. We all look at the world in a certain way through glasses that we wear. They're rose-colored glasses, they're gray-colored glasses, right? We're used to looking at the world that way. So perception is, do we perceive something as good or bad, helpful or not? We look at it in our way. However, someone else could perceive it differently. So
someone else most certainly does perceive it. Everyone else most certainly does perceive it differently.
Okay, so let's look at some examples, and you can share some as well, but I'll get us started. Let's look at the perception of, I don't have enough money. That perception to us is based through our lenses. However, if somebody else who has less than we do looks at us, they're going to perceive us as rich.
We started the conversation with our false complaining about, being up at 7 a.m., which to someone that slept until 9 and 7 a.m. might go, whoa, I feel that pain, sister. How dare this guy wake you up early? Someone that's cleaning in the middle of the night till 3, or a mom who's feeding her baby at 4 and she was up again at 1. Told the different, and if we want to go global.
Right at the beginning of this podcast, I showed my perception. My perception in my life, in my world. Oh my gosh, this is early. Bang on.
So I don't have any good examples like you have, but I do have a method, something I've used that I think helps. And you can tell me if this applies here. We'll stick with that. Don't have money. Cause I think that's, and by the way, the truth is none of us have unlimited money. We all have limited money. And the truth is there's money, billions of dollars floating around everywhere. It just kind of flows where it's going to flow. So it's not that there is no money. Money doesn't exist. I haven't given enough value to the world. The way I've been ordering my life has not created money for me. And if I want money, I'll just have to order my life differently. But I forget who taught. I wish I could give credit to the person, but just take out the word problem and put in the word opportunity. So I would love Suzanne to buy a new piece of equipment, invest in training, upgrade this, buy, whatever the piece may be, help my customers, whatever. But the problem is I don't have any money. Okay. If you just say the same thing, say the opportunity here is that I don't have any money. Just how your perception changes by that one shift, right? Like we just lost like he died. One of our team member, Jackson, who I love, went on to what hopefully is a bigger, better, awesome position for him. I'm super excited for him. So the problem is we're down a guy who we loved, who served our person. The opportunity is there's an opening here for a new guy who we've got. And so far he's amazing. So am I tracking? Is that at all on pace with what you're saying, Suzanne?
Absolutely. Right. There's a story of, and I always mess it up a little, but you'll get the gist of it. There's a farmer with an 18-year-old son, and all he's got is one horse. And one day, the horse gets out of the corral and disappears. And all of the neighbors say, wow, that's such bad luck. And the farmer says, maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. This is his perception he's creating, right? What happens is the next day, the horse comes back, found a whole bunch of wild horses, and brings them all back with him. And they say, wow, you're so lucky. You now have all these horses. And the farmer says, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. What happens next is the son is trying to tame one of the wild horses, falls off, breaks his shoulder. The neighbors again, oh my gosh, you are so unlucky. Look at what happened to your poor son. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not, says the farmer. What happens next is the government comes by, they're recruiting men to go to war. His son cannot go to war because his shoulder's broken. Right? It goes on, and it's a perception. But let's go back for a minute to, if our thought is, I don't have enough money, and we think, wait a minute, to somebody else looking at me, I have a lot of money. I'm wealthy. To somebody else that does not have as much as I do, I could be perceived as wealthy. And if you start to think in your mind, instead of I'm poor, you start to think I'm wealthy. what do you think starts to happen in life right then and there?
And by the way, if you're listening to this on a smartphone, you have food for tomorrow and $20 in your pocket, you are wealthier than 90% of the people that have ever lived in all of history. So let's just be clear. There may be some truly poor people listening, and God bless you. And by the way, I've been to mission trips and stuff with truly poor people. They're typically the people that were quote unquote helping, typically happier than the dumb Americans, and Prozac coming in quote unquote to help. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The perception can be huge. Let me not push back, but let me give you a thought let me voice a concern someone might have. Yes. Okay. I agree. I'm richer than most people. And, maybe I should choose to perceive some gratitude and be grateful of things I have. All very true. Not to dismiss any of that, but say this thing that I want, a house, some training, a car to pay off debt, costs a fixed amount of money. So I understand I'm rich, but I still don't have that fixed amount of money. Therefore, I can't go forward in life, right? If I could just pay off this debt, then I could move forward. If I could buy a nicer car, then I could move forward. If I could invest in this training, then I could move forward. If I could X that costs money that I don't have, then I could move forward. How would you coach or encourage that person?
Well, here we are, the end of the podcast, and you made it. Great job. I've got a little bonus for you for sticking through with me, but like I mentioned before, if you got value out of this podcast and you want to show a little love, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever the heck you're listening to this thing. Share with a friend, share the love. And as a special thank you for those of you that stuck with me to the end, how about I give you my personal phone number so we can text? It's a great way for me to get to know you, your business, your goals personally. So shoot me a text now, 602-932-6431. That's 602-932-6431. I am the only one who responds to these texts, and I will personally respond to everyone I possibly can as long as this number is manned. Don't know how long we're going to keep this at the end of the podcast, so grab it now, 602-932-6431. Give me a text, say hey, can't wait to meet you.